On the day of my wedding, the bride unexpectedly canceled the marriage right in front of everyone, announcing that she and my younger brother were actually true love. Right after dropping that bomb, the two of them secretly eloped together. However, I wasn't angry at all. In fact, I burst out laughing. I casually dialed the number of my childhood rival, Serena. On the other end of the line, Serena's pleasant voice rang out, "Well, this is rare. Why did you suddenly remember to call me today?" I smiled and replied, "I'm getting married today. You didn't know, did you?" Serena scoffed lightly. "I already sent a gift for your wedding today. Don't tell me you think my gift was too cheap and you purposely called to mock me?" "Nope," I kept smiling. "I heard you're still single. So, want to think about getting married? Like, today? The wedding is all set up here. But we are currently experiencing a slight shortage of a bride." Before I could even finish my sentence, there was a sudden thud on the other end of the line. Serena frowned and asked cautiously, "Ethan, are you serious?" I nodded. "When have I ever lied to you?" Serena was silent for a moment before suddenly bursting into laughter. "Ethan, do you know the consequences if I agree? From now on, every single day, I can only do one thing with you." I understood the underlying meaning in her words, and a happy smile uncontrollably spread across my face. "Then I will wait for you for exactly half an hour." After hanging up, my best buddy Carter, who was standing next to me, patted my shoulder to comfort me. "Honestly, Serena is pretty great too." I smiled and nodded. "Of course she is." I chose Serena for no other reason than this. Since elementary school, we had been desk mates. 3 years of middle school, 3 years of high school. We had been classmates also for a solid 5 years. It's just that every day we met, we bickered endlessly. Back then, I didn't understand why she always opposed me. It wasn't until I got into a car accident and saw her recklessly rushing over to save me, ignoring the danger, that I suddenly realized everything. Right at this moment, a knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. The MC of the ceremony asked, "Mr. Ethan, is the bride's side ready? The ceremony is about to begin." I smiled and replied, "Give it another half an hour." I firmly believed that Serena was not someone who would break a promise. 20 minutes later, Serena appeared at the door right on time. I looked at her in sheer astonishment. She was dressed in a high-end, custom-made gown, every single detail meticulously styled, down to the very strands of her hair. I even began to suspect if she'd been preparing for this for a long time. Only one item on her stood out to me, a very ordinary watch on her wrist. I remembered clearly that this was the birthday gift I gave her back in the 11th grade. I couldn't believe she had kept it all this time. Seeing the surprise and admiration in my eyes, Serena raised an eyebrow in satisfaction and asked, "Did Olivia run away so you finally remembered to call me? Or have you been thirsting over my beauty for a long time, just waiting for this exact day?" I burst out laughing. "Serena, my stats aren't too bad either, right? Since you came today, you should thank me for curing your allergic to men phobia." Serena was amused by my teasing. "What phobia? Wasn't that just a rumor you completely made up?" From childhood to adulthood, she always had excellent social skills and top-tier academic performance. Wherever she went, she was the beautiful valedictorian. Back in our school days, countless guys secretly crushed on her. But one time, after she teased me, I deliberately spread a rumor everywhere that Serena had a severe phobia of men. As a result, up until now, she had never had a serious relationship, not even holding a boy's hand. Serena frowned and said, "Do you have any idea how many good catches I lost just because of that one sentence of yours?" I raised an eyebrow. "But don't you have a husband now? You don't even have to go through the annoying dating phases anymore." Serena placed a finger on her lips, chuckling softly. "Sounds pretty good to me." Right then, the MC's urging voice echoed, "To the two newlyweds, the ceremony is about to begin." I offered my right arm. Serena naturally placed her hand on it. Her small hand gripped my arm tightly, causing the lingering uneasiness in my heart to slowly dissipate. Serena looked at me and asked, "By suddenly changing the bride like this, are your parents going to be okay with it?" I calmly replied, "As long as I get married, I will receive the company shares from my grandpa. By marrying me, you will also get a piece of the pie, and what's yours is mine. So by then, I will become the person with the loudest voice in the Ethan family household." Serena looked at me, her gaze stopping at my confident smile. In a fleeting moment, I saw the silhouette of that young teenage girl from years ago, the one who never admitted defeat. Honestly, it was all thanks to Olivia running away. Otherwise, no matter how much I calculated, I would never have had this golden opportunity. When it was time for the newlyweds to step onto the stage, seeing that the bride had suddenly been swapped, the expressions of both the groom's and the bride's families instantly changed. Grandma Winston's face, in particular, turned completely dark. Olivia's mother was also stunned and immediately called her daughter. But the phone kept returning a busy signal. She had to call Olivia's assistant, only to find out that Olivia never intended to show up to the wedding in the first place, and the reason was none other than Hugo. Mrs. Winston turned pale with pure rage. Right at the moment when the bride and groom were about to exchange rings, Grandma Winston whispered to Mrs. Winston, "Have you contacted your precious daughter yet?" Mrs. Winston lowered her head and mumbled, "She's not coming. She's busy shooting a video." Mia, Olivia's younger sister, was also dumbfounded for a moment before reacting. Did my sister seriously just elope? This is some top-tier drama. After understanding the whole situation, Grandma Winston stood frozen in place. Thanks to her excellent upbringing, she tried her best to suppress her emotions from exploding right there. But in her eyes, countless mixed emotions swirled. Ultimately, she could only look at me on stage with deep regret. She had always treated me like her own grandson, thinking that our two families would finally be united by marriage, but who would have thought it would turn out like this? Then Mia panicked and said, "Grandma, what do we do now? Ethan is marrying someone else. He's not going to be my brother-in-law anymore." Grandma Winston let out a depressed sigh. No matter what, today is Ethan's wedding day. We must attend the ceremony until the end before leaving. We cannot make Ethan lose face. On stage, we were exchanging rings. I held Serena's hand. She rarely looked at me with such gentle eyes. "Ethan, I don't have parents, nor do I have annoying relatives. Marrying me, you can avoid a lot of headaches. But I still want to ask you one last time. Marriage is not a joke. Have you thought this through? I have a bad temper and I love bullying you. You already know that." "Ethan." I looked at Serena with genuine surprise, a sincere smile forming on my lips. "I mean it." Although swapping the bride right at the wedding was hard for people to swallow, the guests present were all sharp-minded elites. No one was foolish enough to gossip loudly. On the contrary, they still clapped happily to bless us. After the wedding ended, because of the chaotic drama, I temporarily couldn't return to my family home. Just as I was about to open my mouth to apologize to Serena, to my surprise, she took the initiative to bring me to her place. She didn't tell me that she had already ordered someone to clean up and prepare the house last night. Don't ask why. The answer is simply that she had already guessed Olivia wouldn't come back. Her normally cold, empty house had literally been transformed into a proper bridal suite, covered in balloons and double happiness decorations. I raised an eyebrow at her, my eyes full of suspicion. "When did you prepare all this? Or did you have this planned out all along?" Serena snorted, a bright smile on her face. "It's my first time getting married. How could I let it be too shabby?" I was a bit taken aback. I originally thought Serena was just helping me cross a hurdle. I didn't expect her to take it this seriously, even more seriously than I did. Thinking of this, I felt a bit embarrassed. Besides putting a ring on her finger, I seemingly hadn't promised her anything. I couldn't even prepare a dowry or a bridal suite for her. I awkwardly scratched my head, patted my suitcase, and asked, "Where am I sleeping tonight?" Serena's motion of drinking milk paused. She smiled radiantly. "Hubby, if you don't mind, sleeping together is totally fine with me." I frowned slightly. The two of us had been bickering non-stop since middle school, and now we were suddenly husband and wife. This feeling was incredibly bizarre. Seeing the hesitation in my eyes, Serena pointed to the adjacent room. "Your room is over there. I didn't know what you liked, so just pick whatever. Also," she added in a small voice, "don't bother decorating it too much. After all, eventually, you'll have to obediently crawl back to my room anyway. I've already arranged my room according to your taste." She spoke so softly that I didn't catch it clearly. "What did you say?" Serena casually changed the subject. "When are we going to get the marriage certificate?" I thought for a moment and said, "Tomorrow morning." Serena squinted and smiled, her bright eyes looking at me. "I knew it. You definitely had your eyes on me for a long time, just waiting for this day to bring me home, right?" "Right," I agreed. Then she continued asking, as if predicting the future, "Olivia is coming back tomorrow. Let's go on our honeymoon, shall we?" She wanted to take me away before Olivia returned, just to make her cry a river out of sheer frustration. I was just about to answer when my phone suddenly rang. I smiled bitterly and said, "The honeymoon will have to wait for a bit. Let me finish the project I have on hand first, okay?" Fearing Serena would be upset, I quickly added, "It'll only take about half a month." My softened tone caused her face to visibly flush. She nodded repeatedly without a single ounce of hesitation. The next day, we woke up super early, went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register our marriage, and then each headed to our respective companies. It felt like getting the marriage certificate was just a mundane procedure. When I got back to the company, I held a meeting to finalize a project plan. Right after, my phone rang. It was my dad, Richard. However, since he witnessed the bride swap with his own eyes yesterday, he was so angry his face had turned a dark shade of thunder. "Even if Olivia wasn't there, you can't just grab a random person to marry. This is nothing but a circus act." "Yeah. Furthermore, Olivia went to look for your brother. Hugo is your biological brother. Can't you be a little more understanding?" "Wait, Olivia who?" I played dumb. My dad was furious but tried to contain himself. "Ethan, you think your wings are hard enough to fly now, don't you? Daring to cause such a mess on your own. Have you registered the marriage with Serena yet? If not, bring her back to the family house this afternoon." Before I could answer, he hung up. I chuckled lightly. His tone was exactly like a judge passing a sentence. But I didn't care. I put my phone down and focused on my work. It wasn't until noon, during my break, that I remembered the matter and called Serena. At this time, she had also just finished a meeting. Her best friend Chloe was carrying 2 portions of lunch, singing happily as she walked into the office. Chloe laughed and said, "Serena, going to work on the first day after your wedding? Aren't you afraid your new hubby will get mad?" Chloe felt that ever since my family announced the wedding between me and Olivia, Serena had spent all day buried in the bar, almost drinking herself to death. Back then, Chloe even teased Serena for being a coward. liking someone but not having the guts to pursue them. But last night while they were at the bar, Serena suddenly got a call from me. The usual noisy atmosphere instantly went dead silent just from one glare from Serena. After hanging up, she calmly stood up, patted her chest with absolute arrogance, and declared, "This lady is off to get married." Then she just ditched the two of them, leaving them staring at each other in shock. Now, Chloe patted Serena's shoulder and teased, "You finally managed to bag your little husband. Aren't you going to take advantage of this time to build up your romance? Aren't you afraid Olivia will wake up and steal Ethan back?" Serena played with her phone, debating whether to call me or not. Hearing this, she smirked smugly. "My husband is very sophisticated and understanding. A single Pringle like you wouldn't understand. And don't be jealous." Chloe took massive emotional damage. She retorted angrily, "Shoving your PDA down my throat is one thing, but personal attacks? Really?" Then she delivered a critical hit. "You rushed into a wedding yesterday, but have you even gone to get the marriage certificate with him yet?" Serena frowned slightly, seemingly thinking those words made sense. Chloe immediately seized the chance to poke fun. "Don't just walk around saying my husband this, my husband that. Be careful, if Olivia comes back, your man might just run away." Before Chloe could even finish her sentence, her eyes widened as she stared fixedly at the little red booklet in Serena's hand. She couldn't hold back a scream. "Holy crap, is this real or fake?" She immediately lunged forward, eyes sparkling. "Serena, let me see, I've never even seen a real marriage certificate before." Serena shot her a side eye, her gaze full of disdain, as if saying, "Does a single dog like you even deserve to look at this?" Then, she casually placed the booklet into her desk drawer and said coldly, "If you want to see one, go get married yourself." After saying that, she literally ordered her assistant to bring a padlock right in front of Chloe's face and firmly locked the marriage certificate away. This way, she wouldn't have to worry about it being stolen. Afterward, Serena nodded in satisfaction. Keeping it in the office meant she could take it out and admire it at any time. Chloe was rendered completely speechless. This was the first time she had seen a woman value her marriage certificate so much that she actually put a padlock on it. "You are truly on another level," she asked curiously. "When did you get it?" Serena casually glanced at her. "Just this morning. It's still fresh and hot." Right then, my call came through. Chloe wanted to make another sarcastic remark, but upon seeing Serena's love-struck expression, she immediately realized she couldn't afford to mess with this energy and decided to stay far away. My voice came through the phone. "Are you free this afternoon?" Serena's lips curled up, her eyes full of smiles. "As long as you need me, I'm always free." Chloe almost got a toothache from all the overwhelming sweetness. I helplessly reminded her, "My dad wants to see you." The corner of Serena's mouth twitched up. "Piece of cake. Nothing to worry about," I added. "I'll come pick you up. Remember to eat a full meal for lunch. The food over there won't be easy to swallow tonight." Serena answered confidently, "Ethan, please have a little faith in your wife." Teased by her, my mood instantly brightened up. After hanging up, Chloe got curious, squeezed in close, and peeked at her phone. She asked excitedly, "Was that your hubby calling?" Serena nodded, then turned to her assistant. "Help me prepare some gifts this afternoon. I need to make a trip to the Ethan family mansion." Chloe clapped excitedly. "Serena, you're officially debuting as the daughter-in-law. Don't be nervous, just bring out your fierce business negotiation aura." Serena raised an eyebrow and smiled lightly. "I don't need you to teach me that." Elsewhere, Olivia finally woke up past 12 noon. When she saw my wedding video, along with the sentence, "Let's break up," that I had said, her brain practically exploded. She completely did not expect that I would actually dump her. Right at this moment, Hugo walked in, grabbed her wrist, and said coldly, "Ethan doesn't want you anymore. What's the point of going back? He can change his bride, why can't you change your groom?" Olivia's beautiful eyes turned ice cold. She gritted her teeth and said, "Last night was just a misunderstanding. You're fine now, I have to go back and get married." Hugo gritted his teeth, asking, "Do you love him that much? To the point that you don't even care if I almost died?" Olivia's breathing quickened, her voice raising a few pitches. "You have friends here. You have acquaintances here. It was just a minor car accident. There was no need for me to personally run over here. But I still came, leaving Ethan behind without a second thought. What more do you want from me?" Hearing Olivia call his name, Hugo knew she was angry. He softened his voice and apologized. "I'm sorry. I was just panicked. I was afraid I would die just like that without seeing you one last time. I like you so much. I was afraid." But Olivia coldly cut him off. "Well, we've seen each other now. I have to go back. Let bygones be bygones regarding last night. It was all a misunderstanding." Saying that, she took out her phone to call me, but it wouldn't connect. Asking her assistant to call yielded no results either. Olivia was furious, realizing I had blocked all their numbers. She called my best buddy, Carter. Carter simply threw a bunch of sarcastic insults at her and hung up. Olivia was livid but had no choice but to head back. At 4 p.m. I drove to the front of Serena's company right on time. After she got in the car, I reminded her, "Ever since my mom passed away, the person who loves me the most is Grandpa. If he makes things difficult for you, please bear with it a little." Serena shifted her long legs, clad in silk stockings, closer to me and offered a gentle smile, looking exactly like a perfectly obedient little wife. Hubby, we are now legally married. Your grandpa is my grandpa. There's no such thing as bearing with it or not. I was touched and couldn't help but glance down at those legs a few times. Perhaps due to being too tired from work, shortly after getting in the car, Serena fell fast asleep. I intentionally slowed down so she could rest properly. Only when the car pulled into my family's driveway did I gently wake her up. We're here. Seeing a hint of nervousness on Serena's face, the corners of my lips slightly turned up. Getting out of the car, I took her hand and led her inside. Feeling her palm sweating slightly, I gently reassured her. We are legally married. Don't be afraid. Serena gulped, lightly patting her chest where a photo of our marriage certificate rested. Even though the actual certificate was safely locked in her office, she carried a photo of it everywhere. Her red lips softly muttered, legally married. Then she followed me through the doors of the family mansion. At this time, there were quite a few people sitting in the living room. My dad, my grandpa, and even Olivia's grandmother, old Mrs. Lincoln. I was a bit surprised but still stepped forward to greet everyone one by one. Serena was also very polite, following me and bowing to greet each person. Everyone's eyes landed on our tightly interlocked hands. Their expressions shifted slightly. I let go of Serena's hand, walked up to old Mrs. Lincoln, and said with a bit of guilt, Grandma Lincoln, I'm truly sorry I didn't inform you beforehand about yesterday's incident. But old Mrs. Lincoln's eyes held a bit of sorrow mixed with regret. She held my hand, her voice full of heartache and guilt. It is our family that wronged you, Ethan. You don't need to apologize. We were wrong. I only want you to be happy. I already know what happened yesterday. It was Olivia's fault. I have to apologize to you on her behalf. Old Mrs. Lincoln sighed deeply. I won't make excuses for Olivia. I failed to teach her well, causing you to suffer such great pain. I am truly sorry. After seeing old Mrs. Lincoln off, Serena and I followed Grandpa into the study. Despite his old age, he was still in good health. Just standing there, he exuded an aura of authority, intimidating people without even needing to be angry. His eyes carefully observed Serena, and he calmly nodded. You look very much like that old geezer Serena's grandfather. Her grandfather passed away when she was in the 7th grade. When they were young, my grandpa and her grandpa used to bicker a lot, but they actually respected each other deeply. It was just a pity that Mr. Serena's grandfather passed away too early. Otherwise, the person marrying me would certainly not have been Olivia. Grandpa continued, I don't care about the past affairs of your family. Let bygones be bygones. Now that you've married Ethan, I hope you two live well together. Serena obediently nodded. Don't worry, Grandpa, I will. I never expected that she had already written a will, leaving all her assets to me. Hearing this, I froze for a second. Grandpa also waved his hand. There's no need to do that. Serena looked at me, her eyes full of love. Grandpa, Ethan is the person I love the most. I will do everything to treat him well. Grandpa nodded, asked a bit more about my work, and finally, seeing him take a phone call, we held hands and walked downstairs. The next morning, Serena went to the washroom. I sat down on the sofa in the living room, facing my dad. He was watching the news. I softly called out, Dad. He just gave a and then initiated the conversation. Hugo got into a car accident, did you know? I nodded expressionlessly. I know. My dad seemed to also understand the cause of the incident. He hesitated for a few seconds before saying, the accident this time was quite serious. Olivia is his sister-in-law. It's only right for her to go visit him. Don't take it too hard. But this thing with you and Serena, Ethan, are you serious? I replied indifferently. I know you give most of your love to Hugo. I'm not angry. I just feel it's meaningless. My dad was silent for a moment, then said, in your heart, is marriage not a joke? My meaning was very clear. I am serious. He seemed to think of his own marriage, carefully observing my cold face, trying to find an excuse. Ethan, your mother and I cut him off, my tone calm, my eyes showing absolutely no fluctuation. Since Mom died, I've figured it out, Dad. The mistakes you made shouldn't have been borne by a woman. My mother's death had a huge connection to you, Dad. Right now, you are still my father, but you are no longer the father I respect the most. The moment you chose to betray my mother and me, you lost that right. My dad felt a sense of powerlessness standing before me. In the end, he didn't say anything more. Thankfully, not long after, the auntie announced that dinner was ready. After dinner, by the time we left the house, it was already dark. I looked over at Serena, who was sitting quietly in the car, and couldn't help but ask, you look very happy. Is it just because Grandpa didn't scold you? Serena was someone with no scandals, but her way of doing things never followed the rules. It would be understandable if Grandpa didn't like her. Serena's eyes sparkled with amusement, the corner of her lips twitching up. I'll only tell this to my dear hubby, I chuckled lightly. Aren't I your legal husband? Serena casually replied. You're still missing one kiss. I felt a bit helpless, raising an eyebrow. Serena, I'm driving. If you keep looking at me like that, I won't be able to concentrate. Serena blushed, then whispered, then let's make up for this kiss when we get home, okay? But before she could finish, I suddenly slammed on the brakes. Looking up, I saw a figure standing right in front of the headlights. My eyebrows furrowed tightly. I turned to look at Serena. She tilted her head, her tone calm. If you want to go, then go. I gently pinched her cheek and said softly, I'll go make things clear with her and be right back, okay? Okay. Serena just let out a light hum in response. I opened the car door and stepped out. Olivia hurriedly walked over, grabbing my arm tightly, her eyes red as she asked, Ethan, I haven't agreed to break up yet. The chilly autumn wind blew past. I looked at her quietly, without an ounce of anger. Just 2 days of not seeing her, and the always beautiful Olivia looked somewhat haggard. She sighed, Ethan, don't use an innocent person just to make me mad. I frowned, forcefully shaking off her hand. Olivia, I'm not the type of guy to keep my options open. When you decided to go find Hugo, we were already done. You could have just told me, and I would have immediately canceled the wedding. But you didn't. You threw my pride and my family's dignity to the ground and trampled on it without hesitation. Olivia froze, then hurriedly explained, Hugo is your brother. He got into a car accident. I laughed out of sheer anger. Olivia, don't forget that Hugo has friends and relatives there. If he got into an accident, it wasn't necessary for you to go. Are you a doctor? In what capacity did you go? His ex-girlfriend or his sister-in-law? Seeing the awkward and flustered expression on Olivia's face, I felt a bit vindicated. It's not like you don't know how Hugo became my brother. I don't hate him, but I absolutely cannot accept a person who caused my mother's death. But Olivia stammered, Auntie, wasn't killed by him. I paused for a moment, then burst out laughing, but there was no warmth in that smile. So that's what you've always thought. You and my dad are exactly the same, not on the same path as me. We were never meant to walk the same road. I've always believed my mother's death is connected to them. If you chose to be with me, you should have respected me, not stayed tangled up endlessly with him at such a crucial moment. Of course, Olivia, it's not like I can't live without you. That sentence, not like I can't live without you, hit Olivia like a heavy blow, leaving her dizzy. A massive hole felt like it had been ripped open in her chest, the cold wind rushing in and chilling her to the bone. Her lips trembled. Ethan, you misunderstood. This was my fault. I shouldn't have left without telling you. Come with me now. Let's go back and have our wedding. I looked at her with icy eyes, as if seeing right through her soul. No, Olivia, you will never understand how deeply you've hurt me. I can accept you and Hugo being together, but the only thing I cannot accept is you preparing to marry me on one hand, while refusing to let go of Hugo on the other. How can one heart hold two people? It's truly disgusting. Serena's voice rang out from behind. You were the one who let go first, Olivia, so you have to accept the truth that he doesn't want to wait for you anymore. She quickly walked over to my side, casually linking her arm through mine, looking at Olivia provocatively. Olivia's eyes darkened, her eyebrows pulling together. Serena, you took advantage of a difficult situation to wedge yourself in, and you dare to lecture me. Serena's eyes suddenly turned cold as she sneered. Speaking of taking advantage of a difficult situation, didn't you personally create this perfect condition for me? Technically, I should be thanking you. Serena's eyes were full of defiance. The atmosphere grew tense, giving me a headache. I gripped Serena's hand tightly, intertwining our fingers, and lowered my head to whisper, Let's go home early, I'm a bit sleepy. Serena tilted her head slightly to look at Olivia, flashing a mocking smile. Then, she opened the car door and ushered me into the passenger seat. Serena maintained the posture of absolute winner, holding her head high as she walked past Olivia. Olivia panicked. She lunged at the passenger side window, frowning as she whispered, Ethan, have you thought this through? If you leave with her now, we are truly finished. I calmly rolled up the window and drove away. Olivia couldn't believe it. Just because of this one mistake, she had lost the man she loved the most. Watching the car disappear into the distance, she slumped down on the curb, feeling like her heart had been completely hollowed out. On the way back, Serena and I had a mutual understanding to not mention Olivia. I had been living alone for a long time. When times were tough, I learned how to cook for myself. Later, I realized the process of cooking was very relaxing, so it gradually became a habit. The next morning, when Serena woke up, I had already finished my morning jog and prepared breakfast. Seeing a table full of food, Serena, who never had the habit of eating breakfast, sat down and slowly enjoyed the meal with me. The next 2 times she woke up late, seeing the empty dining table, she thought I had stopped preparing breakfast for her. She was a little disappointed, but unexpectedly when she got in the car, I handed her a cute little thermos box. Serena looked at it with her big, beautiful, questioning eyes. What's this? I explained. Breakfast. The corners of Serena's lips curled up into a faint but incredibly sweet smile. Did my hubby make this for me? She asked with a lazy yet confident smirk. I purposely teased her. It's leftovers from my breakfast this morning. Serena choked on her words, looking a bit exasperated, but holding the lunchbox in her hands, her mood still soared. When she entered the elevator and saw her assistant, Lily, eating a steamed bun, Serena raised an eyebrow. Lily held up her fried bun and asked, CEO Serena, have you had breakfast? Serena chuckled lightly, holding up her Doraemon thermos box. No need. My husband already made a loving breakfast for me. Hearing this, Lily immediately started kissing up. CEO Serena is so mighty. Married for just a few days and already got boss Ethan catering to your every need. Serena finished her breakfast and then went into the office with me. Seeing her take out the food, Lily expressed her admiration, feeling like the food she just swallowed was absolute garbage. She casually snapped a picture and sent it to Chloe. Yes. Less than a minute later, Chloe called, asking curiously, Sister Serena, can I have a taste of my brother-in-law's cooking? Serena laughed out loud. If you want to eat, go find your own husband. Chloe was speechless. So what if you have a husband? Just a few days ago, you were a single Pringle exactly like me, Serena happily replied. Having a husband is actually pretty great. The day the two of us returned from the family house, Grandpa gave me 15% of the shares, gave Serena 10%, and left 5% for Hugo. Over the past 2 days, I had processed the share transfer documents and handed Serena's portion to her. But Serena refused to accept them, handing them back to me. I was a bit surprised. Why won't you accept what Grandpa gave you? Serena leaned back against the sofa, striking a lazy pose, smiling as she said, I'm your wife, didn't you say it yourself? What's mine is yours. Hey, look at this. I'm giving it all to you, I awkwardly explained. I was just joking that day. Serena dropped her smile. I'm being serious. Once I get married, I never think about divorce, let alone these shares. Even if I handed my entire current company over to you, I wouldn't have any objections. I smiled bitterly, looking at her. Serena, have you ever regretted being with me? I'm a pretty dry guy, not good at romance. Serena chuckled softly. It's fine, as long as I understand it. Not only do I understand, I can even teach you. I didn't say anything, still returning the shares to Serena. Leaving the company, as I was about to get in my car, I ran into Hugo, who was waiting for me in the parking lot. He was sitting in a wheelchair, his face slightly pale, but he still forced a smile. I frowned, observing him for a few seconds. Didn't he get into a car accident? Shouldn't he still be in the hospitals? Why is he back? Hugo smiled faintly. I heard you and Olivia broke up. I was afraid you might misunderstand, so I purposely came back to explain things to you. Ah, the use of the word broke up was very clever, making me look like the unreasonable one. I let out a laugh, leaning against the car door and said casually, I'll give you 5 minutes. Hugo froze. He had just said that casually, not expecting me to actually listen to him. In the past, Olivia and I did have an ambiguous phase. Then we had a bit of conflict, and she confessed her feelings to you, basically just using you as a rebound. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gotten tangled up with her in the first place. But this car accident happened so suddenly. I was panicked, couldn't find anyone else, so I'm sorry, I didn't know she was about to marry you. I quietly watched him put on his act, and then asked in return, you say Olivia saw me as a rebound, so did she know that? Hearing this, Hugo's face stiffened and he quickly changed the subject. I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Can you forgive Olivia? I can see she's very sad. It truly breaks my heart. No, I frowned, my tone icy cold. Hugo, you and I aren't close enough for this. I don't care about the messy drama between you and Olivia. You want me to forgive her? What right do you have to beg me? The right of being the son of the other woman? Hugo's face turned completely pale. He probably didn't expect me to be so blunt. He lowered his head, gritting his teeth. I know I can't appease your anger. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I lowered my eyes, my voice bone-chilling. Even if I told you to go die? At this moment, Olivia's voice rang out from behind. Ethan! I got a headache and rubbed my temples. When I looked up, I caught a glimpse of a faint, helpless smile at the corner of Hugo's mouth. After all these years, he was still playing these manipulative mind games. Olivia rushed over, her gaze sweeping over Hugo with annoyance, but she didn't look him straight in the eye, turning to me instead. Her gaze was burning, but her voice was somewhat cautious. Ethan, can I treat you to a meal? That night when she went home, she was severely scolded by both her grandmother and mother. That's when she realized how serious the problem actually was. I let out a mocking laugh, turned around, opened the car door and slammed it shut, decisively. It all happened in one fluid motion, without giving her a single glance from beginning to end. Olivia wanted to chase after me, but Hugo stopped her. Ethan has made up his mind not to look back, just give up. Olivia didn't turn around. She stayed silent for a few seconds, then said, You got into an accident. I chose to visit you not because I still have feelings for you, but to end everything with you once and for all. But I didn't expect you to play dirty and slip sleeping pills into my water. Hugo panicked and hurriedly explained, I really didn't know you and he were getting married. Olivia coldly turned her head and sneered, You didn't know? I had my assistant pass the message to Ethan. Why did you intercept it? Hugo was left speechless, a look of pain crossing his face. Olivia gritted her teeth and said, Ethan was right. It was my hesitation that gave you the chance to wedge yourself in. You said Ethan was always cold or bullying you, but is that really the truth? I don't want to judge your family drama, but you shouldn't have schemed against Ethan. He's your older brother, and he should have been my husband. Olivia shook her head, a deep sense of helplessness and regret appearing in her eyes. Seeing us reach this point, are you satisfied now? Hugo gripped the armrests of his wheelchair, looking up at the sky, remaining completely silent. On the 4th day after our marriage, Serena had to go on a business trip. I helped her pack her luggage. Although we weren't sleeping in the same room, the decor in both rooms wasn't much different. Maybe because we grew up as friends, suddenly getting married still felt a bit unnatural. But after being together for a while, we'd end up sharing a bed eventually anyway. When I knocked on her door, Serena just happened to be taking a shower. She opened the door wearing only a simple bath towel. My eyes twitched, unable to stop myself from glancing downwards. Serena leaned against the doorframe, a faint smile on her face. What's up? My face heated up and I blurted out, I'm hungry. Serena followed my gaze, lowering her voice to ask, Are you sure it's that kind of hungry? I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. I hastily turned around, muttering, "I came to ask if you were hungry." Serena purposely teased me. "The moment you came over, I suddenly felt very hungry." I shot her an annoyed glare. "Be serious. What do you want to eat?" Serena stood up straight, smiling with a hidden meaning. "Can I eat you instead?" I was speechless. My face turned bright red as I immediately spun around and stormed off. "Eat my foot!" Behind me, Serena's clear laughter rang out. Every note of it landed right in my heart, making my cheeks burn even hotter. I quickly ran into the kitchen. By the time Serena finished packing and walked into the kitchen, I had just brought out a bowl of tomato egg noodles. Golden eggs covered the bed of pristine white noodles, sprinkled with a few lonely green onions. Serena immediately felt her appetite surge. She picked up her chopsticks and started eating right away. She remembered, when she ran away from home in the 10th grade, it was me who took her in, and the dish I made for her back then was also this exact tomato egg noodle soup. After I left, she had eaten at many noodle shops, but nowhere could replicate the flavor I made. Serena gripped her chopsticks tightly, quickly finishing the bowl of noodles in front of her. At midnight, Serena set off on her business trip. The next morning, when I woke up, I saw a sticky note she had left on the dining table downstairs. The handwriting was as elegant as it was in high school. "I'm going on a business trip for a week. Don't miss me too much. If you really can't stand it, call me. 24/7, always ready to chat and eat with you." After breakfast, I quickly packed up and headed to the company. After work, I received a call from my best friend Carter, asking me out for a meal. Arriving at the reserved restaurant, I sat down across from him. Seeing Carter looking gloomy and frowning, I joked, "You asked me out, but you look so miserable." Carter hesitated for a moment, then pulled out a photo. He said carefully, "Ethan, look at this, but don't get mad." I glanced at it. It was a picture of Olivia and Hugo looking intimate together. In the photo, it seemed Hugo had fallen, and Olivia was helping him into his wheelchair. Hugo used to be a somewhat famous singer in the music industry and had a certain fan base. As soon as this photo leaked, the media immediately speculated that the two of them had finally broken through the barrier and intended to go public with their relationship. I smiled, handing the photo back, my tone completely unfazed. "Why would I be mad? I'm married." Carter smiled in satisfaction and asked, "Ethan, how is Serena treating you? When we were in school, you two were like fire and water. But actually, Serena is a really good person. If that incident hadn't happened so suddenly, there wouldn't even be room for Olivia." Mentioning Olivia made Carter visibly angry. I laughed. "All right, don't be mad anymore. Let's eat first." After eating, I looked over at Carter, who was staring off into the distance. Following his gaze, I saw a familiar car parked by the side of the road. Hugo was sitting in a wheelchair, seemingly talking to someone inside the car. Carter frowned, unable to hide his disgust. "Isn't Hugo supposed to be in the hospital? Why is he wheeling around everywhere? Don't tell me he's faking it." Seeing Carter roll up his sleeves, ready to rush over and pick a fight, I quickly pulled him back. "Let's go. Whether he's faking it or not has nothing to do with us." That sentence had a deep hidden meaning. Under the dim streetlights, even from 7 or 8 meters away, it was easy to clearly see who was in the car. Carter sneered coldly. "Yeah, looks like quite a few people care about him." Carter's voice was a bit loud. The person in the car heard it and immediately looked up in my direction. The smile on Olivia's lips froze. She panicked, pushed the car door open, and quickly ran towards me. "Ethan," Olivia called out to me. Naturally, I didn't turn around, but she didn't give up, weaving through the traffic and running breathlessly until she stood right in front of me. "Ethan." Carter looked at me with concern. I smiled to reassure him. "Ethan, please listen to my explanation." After saying that, Olivia's burning gaze locked onto me. I looked right through her, calmly staring at Hugo across the street, who was looking back with eyes full of resentment. I chuckled softly. "No need." My cold attitude shocked Olivia. In the past, when we were dating, even though I wasn't overly enthusiastic, I was never this freezing cold, as if a bottomless abyss now existed between us. She moved her lips, seeming wanting to say something. Right then, my phone buzzed. It was a voice message from Serena. I meant to switch it to text, but my hand unexpectedly slipped and I accidentally put it on speaker. "I've been landed for 17 hours now and haven't gotten a single text asking how I am. Just use me and toss me aside, huh?" Her voice, carrying a teasing complaint, echoed by my ear. My face heated up. Why was she saying things that sounded so easily misunderstood? Behind me, I heard Carter snickering. I felt incredibly embarrassed. I swore to myself I would absolutely never listen to Serena's voice messages in front of others again. This woman's mouth truly had no filter. "No, we didn't do anything last night. I just cooked her some noodles." But the way she spoke made it sound like we did something last night that only VIP members could watch. I tried to keep my cool and explained, "I only cooked noodles for you last night." "Don't talk nonsense. Aren't you on a business trip?" Serena let out a deep and was about to continue when Olivia suddenly called my name from behind. "Ethan." Serena's eyes flashed. She asked, "It's this late, and you're still out?" I glanced at Carter and replied, "I just finished dinner with Carter." Serena chuckled. "Guess Olivia's losing her touch." "Huh? Can't even keep her husband inside at this hour," I grumbled internally. "How do you know so clearly whether he's losing his touch or not?" As if reading my mind, Serena lowered her voice and said, "I don't know how he performs, but as for how I perform, You'll just have to try it out to know. My face turned beet red, my tongue tied, not knowing what to say. Sensing my embarrassment, Serena chuckled softly. All right, I'll stop teasing you. I have a meeting. Go home early. I softly replied, yeah, and hung up. By this time, Olivia had run up right in front of me, her eyes full of agony. Ethan, do you really like her now? Then what were our 2 years together? I was stunned, completely not expecting her to play the victim card in front of me. I frowned, looking straight at her, my voice turning strict. When you chose to abandon me and humiliate me, did you ever consider what those 2 years were? Olivia's face went pale. Her voice dropped, her whole posture looking defeated. Ethan, I'm sorry. I didn't know things would turn out like this either. I put away my phone, glancing at Hugo, whose lips were tightly pursed. The corner of his lips curled up into a meaningful smirk. Olivia, you never loved me that much anyway. Otherwise, you wouldn't have hesitated between me and Hugo. My face showed no emotion. My voice was soft, but it carried a sense of absolute finality. Honestly, when Grandpa suggested an arranged marriage with you, I didn't refuse. At the time, I thought you weren't too bad. But looking at it now, you can't even compare to a single strand of Serena's hair. Please stay a bit further away from me. Looking at you honestly makes me feel nauseous. Olivia pressed her lips tightly together, staying silent. Inside her heart, it felt like a knife was carving out a massive wound. Blood constantly spilling out, leaving an agonizing emptiness. Ethan, is there really no possibility for us anymore? Not even a single chance? Her voice sank, not even daring to raise her head, let alone look at the emotion in my eyes. She was afraid that just one look would plunge her into an abyss of despair. The proud Olivia, who had never shown weakness in front of any man, was now reduced to this state. I sneered faintly, a flash of mockery passing through my eyes. Right now, Olivia just looked pathetic to me. The moment you took Hugo's call and decided to leave, we were over. I have a wife now. I don't want her to misunderstand, so you should keep your distance. Just then, a voice full of helplessness rang out. It was Hugo. Perhaps fearing Olivia would run away with me, he panicked and tried to push his wheelchair forward, but unexpectedly hit a rock, causing the wheelchair to flip over in the middle of the road. Ah! Olivia glanced at me. I didn't miss the pity flashing in her eyes, and I let out a cold laugh. Carter smirked, looking at Olivia with deep meaning. Miss Olivia, your good little brother fell. Aren't you going to help him up? There are a lot of cars at night. An accident could easily happen. Olivia pulled her gaze back and turned to me. I've already cut ties with him, I indifferently replied. Oh, then turned around and left with Carter. Olivia wanted to chase after me, but Hugo's miserable screams continuously echoed from behind, making her freeze. Angry and frustrated, she stood frozen in place, only able to blink as she watched me walk away. After saying goodbye to Carter, I headed home. After taking a shower, I picked up my phone to check. It was already 11 p.m. Serena must have finished her work. Thinking of the complaining voice message she sent earlier, the corners of my mouth couldn't help but twitch up. Back in school, Serena always loved going against me. Even after getting married, she was still the same. Old habits die hard. But now we were husband and wife, the people who would spend the rest of our lives together. I figured I should at least politely check in on her. I texted her. Back at the hotel yet? Serena, who was in the middle of a meeting, glanced at her lit-up phone screen. Seeing my familiar avatar, her heart involuntarily skipped a beat. She quickly typed back, not done yet. I sent a helpless emoji and added, your husband is already this rich. What are you still working so hard for? Seeing my message, Serena was a bit surprised. Why is hubby suddenly acting so sweet? The corner of my lips curled up slightly as I typed. I'm just afraid you'll work yourself to death, and I won't get to inherit your assets. And just like that, we bickered back and forth for a few sentences before hanging up. Serena's laughter still echoed in my ears. She truly was an annoying piece of work. But thanks to her teasing, my gloomy mood from bumping into Olivia gradually improved. After a few busy days at the company, I received a call from my dad. Come home for dinner tonight. His tone was like a boss issuing an order to an employee, without a shred of warmth. I sighed silently, having gotten used to it long ago. We were clearly both his biological sons, but his attitude was worlds apart. He always felt that Hugo suffered a lot of grievances out in the world, so he wanted to compensate him double. But did anyone compensate me? Losing my mother at a young age, even my only living father treated me coldly. If it weren't for our blood ties, I probably wouldn't even be able to call him Dad. I dragged my feet to the car and drove home. No matter how many excuses I tried to find to delay it, in the end, I still had to go back. Otherwise, there would just be more nagging and complaining. As soon as I reached the door, I heard my dad's gentle voice. I didn't even need to think to know who he was talking to. Dad, I'm planning to hold a concert in 3 months, Hugo's voice rang out. My dad frowned. Your leg hasn't even healed yet. What concert? The entertainment industry is too exhausting. Your brother is managing the company very well. Once your leg gets better, follow him to the company and work there. Dad. My dad and Hugo turned around upon hearing me. Seeing me walk in, a flash of awkwardness crossed his face, but he quickly returned to a calm expression. Ethan, you're the older brother. Helping Hugo out is the right thing to do. I showed no emotion, just calmly stating, his major doesn't match. He's not suitable to join the company. My dad immediately looked displeased and argued back. Hugo is your younger brother. The entertainment industry is muddy water. With his personality, he's not suited to struggle in there. I smiled faintly, looking at my dad. When I first took over the company, those old foxes wanted to swallow me whole too, but I still got through it. He's an adult now, he needs to take responsibility for his own decisions. My words were a bit harsh, causing Hugo to lose face. He looked up at me, hastily explaining, "Don't be mad, brother. Dad is just worried about me. I'm really not interested in the company. Being a singer is enough for me." I burst out laughing. "I am not your brother. You went to study abroad for a whole year with absolutely zero achievements. Just coming back to the country, you had to rely on a scandal to grab attention. Hugo, is this the result of your studying abroad?" Hearing this, Hugo's expression shifted slightly. My dad's face immediately darkened as he loudly reprimanded me. "Ethan, how can you speak to your brother like that? He's still recovering." I stepped onto the stairs, calmly saying, "Since he's a patient, he should obediently stay in the hospital. I didn't beg him to come home. Out of respect for Grandpa, the fact that I haven't taken action against him is already a blessing." After saying that, I couldn't care less how much my dad called after me, walking straight upstairs to find Grandpa. During dinner, my dad once again brought up wanting to put Hugo in the company. He wanted to test Grandpa's reaction. After all, my dad was Grandpa's son, but he didn't have a solid footing in the company. A few years ago, because of the drama when Hugo and his mother showed up at the door, he and Grandpa had a major falling out. Grandpa, expressionless, looked at Hugo and asked, "Hugo, what do you think?" Hugo held his chopsticks, his fingers subconsciously tightening. He forced a smile and said, "Dad is just worried I'll get bullied, but I still have Sister Olivia to take care of me. Continuing to sing shouldn't be a problem. Besides, I still have a group of fans. If I just quit the entertainment industry, wouldn't I be letting them down?" Grandpa gave a nonchalant, not showing any stance. "Since you have no intention of doing this, then don't mention it again." Grandpa saying this completely cut off my dad's retreat. My dad's face looked grim. After dinner, he called me back, and the two of us went to the courtyard to talk. My dad got straight to the point. "I know Grandpa has always been biased, giving you a bit more shares. You can see it too, without the family's protection, Hugo will have a very hard time. Right now, most of the company's shares are in your hands. Give some to Hugo." His tone wasn't a negotiation, it was a command, but I wasn't surprised. From the moment my dad brought this up, I was mentally prepared. I looked at him calmly, articulating every word clearly. "I don't owe Hugo anything. It's my property. Why should I share it with him? Hugo has no mother, he only has me." My dad tried to play the emotional card. I froze for a moment, then let out a cold, chilling laugh. "I don't have a mother either. Have you forgotten how my mother died?" "I will never forgive him," my dad sighed, his tone bland. "Your mother and I had an arranged marriage. The romantic affairs of the older generation I don't want to discuss too much," I coldly replied. "You made your choice, and I have my own way of handling things." My dad looked at me, his gaze sharpening, his voice displeased. "Do you really despise him that much? He's your brother. Giving up a bit of property is only right." I chuckled softly, leaning against a street lamp with a relaxed posture, a mocking smile appearing in my eyes. "You have property too. If you truly love him, you can transfer the shares in your hands to him. I have absolutely no objections." Hearing this, my dad's voice turned even more stern. "Ethan, are you even refusing to listen to me now?" I coldly replied. "I don't want to shred our last bit of dignity. If you keep insisting on this, you better think about the consequences, Dad." My words carried a heavy threat. It wasn't that my dad didn't hear it. His eyes turned cold as he sternly said, "Ethan, I am talking to you as a father. If you don't agree today, tomorrow when we go to the company, in front of the shareholders, I won't be speaking this nicely anymore." His meaning was very clear. Either hand them over tonight, or he would force me to hand them over publicly tomorrow. The next day, when I arrived at the company, Assistant Luke hurriedly handed me the documents for the meeting. He hesitated, his eyes showing panic. I briefly scanned the documents, then looked straight into his nervous eyes and asked, "Is there something else?" Assistant Luke said anxiously, "CEO Ethan, when I came in this morning, I saw Director Richard and a few other directors having a meeting. It seemed like they were discussing matters regarding you." I raised an eyebrow, letting out a cold sneer. I closed the file and quickly stood up. "Bring it on. I'll counter whatever they throw at me. What do I have to fear?" Walking into the meeting room, the old foxes immediately went dead silent. The atmosphere instantly dropped. I told my assistant to give the work report. After it concluded, I spoke up. "Does anyone have any opinions?" My dad was the first to speak. "CEO Ethan, the land plot in Chengdu. Didn't we say before that we were going to partner with Hai Lam? Why did you suddenly hand it over to Serena?" The relationship between me and Serena was something everyone in this room knew clearly. I coldly looked at the first person who spoke, my own father, and smiled. "Director Richard, are you unaware? Hai Lam recently got caught up in some scandals. Handing a massive project like Chengdu to Hai Lam is inappropriate. Handing it to Thon Ha is also unsuitable. But Serena's company, Thon Ha, offered us an 8% commission." My one sentence shut everyone in the room up. Furthermore, this partnership was won fairly by Thon Ha through an open bidding process. I swept a cold gaze over everyone one by one, leaving no room for objections. "If you gentlemen have no other opinions, today's meeting is adjourned." Having said that, I decisively turned to leave. But my dad suddenly stood up. He clearly understood the consequences of his actions, but he didn't want to let Hugo suffer any grievances. My dad stared at my back, his eyes darkening as he said coldly, "CEO Ethan, you are still too young. You act too decisively. You should train for a while longer. I and a few other shareholders have unanimously agreed that you should transfer a portion of your shares so that a balance of power can be established." My index finger, resting by my side, clenched tightly, the corners of my eyes stinging. We were both his sons, yet my dad could pressure me into giving up my shares right in front of everyone, all for Hugo. Based on what? All the effort I put in just easily divided up and handed to someone else? I remained silent for a few seconds. When I turned around, my eyes were devoid of any emotion. I asked indifferently, "Director Richard, are you doubting my decisions?" I frowned. He probably didn't expect me to be so unyielding, feeling a bit of reluctance in his heart. But the moment he thought of pathetic Hugo sitting in his wheelchair, the scales in his heart tilted towards Hugo again. CEO Ethan is too young. Making decisions that are too hasty is not good for the company. I can understand your mindset. After all, young people are passionate and impulsive. But you must remember that all of us have placed our entire fortunes and livelihoods into your hands. Just one wrong decision from you, and all our efforts will be washed down the drain. I tried my best to suppress my anger and replied coldly, "We are all grasshoppers tied to the same string. As long as I have rice to eat, you all will absolutely not lack meat. Director Richard wants to take my shares because he's dissatisfied with my way of working? Or perhaps, do you actually favor Hugo's spineless style?" Hearing this, my dad's face immediately turned ugly. I chuckled softly and continued, "Director Richard, you're way too overconfident, stuffing someone who knows absolutely nothing into the company. Now that would be the biggest mistake." My dad was dead set on bringing Hugo into the company. So, I would use this exact point to make him drop a rock on his own foot. Unable to force me to yield, my dad had to grit his teeth and follow me out. He said in a low voice, "Ethan, Hugo is your brother. Helping him out a little is only right." I didn't stop walking, answering coldly, "My mother only gave birth to me. The 2 times I visited the family house, I thought I made myself clear enough. Who would have thought that the father I once respected the most could go to this extent for the son of the other woman? Saying I wasn't hurt by him pushing things this far would be a lie." My dad followed me into my office. Seeing me turn on my computer to work on my own, he started getting tense. He angrily lunged forward and shut off my computer, shouting furiously, "He is your brother, and he is my son too." I looked up, my eyes slightly red, which made my dad freeze for a second. I asked with red eyes, "Then what about me?" I grabbed onto the guilt in his heart and continued, "I am also your biological son. I wasn't some kid you picked up off the streets." My dad was left speechless, a flash of awkwardness in his eyes, hiding a bit of helplessness deep down. He slumped down onto the sofa, lowering his head to explain, "Ethan, I wronged Hugo's mother." Hearing this, I felt like I had just heard the most ridiculous joke in the world. "Director Richard, what the hell are you talking about? Are you saying you didn't wrong my mother?" My anger exploded. Furious, I grabbed the cup next to me and hurled it at my dad's feet. Cold water splashed everywhere, soaking his pants. Outside, Assistant Luke saw that the situation was getting bad. His heart tightened, and he hurriedly called Serena's assistant, Lily. Speaking of their connection, it was all because of their respective bosses. Daily communication was essential, like what I ate yesterday, how my appetite was, who I met. All the key points were sent to Assistant Lily, who then relayed them to Serena. Of course, I treated him well, so he didn't find it bothersome to do this. It wasn't the first time my dad had lost face because of me. He suddenly stood up abruptly, his cloudy eyes suddenly turning clear. He looked at me, his voice resolute. "These shares, you must give them up whether you want to or not. This is the only thing I can leave for Hugo. Ethan, whatever I owe you, I will find a way to pay you back." With that said, my dad hurriedly left. As if a wild beast were chasing him, I slumped back into my chair, feeling like all my strength had been drained. I closed my eyes, and tears uncontrollably streamed down my face. This is the last time, I told myself. This is the last time I will tolerate him. Only when my emotions gradually stabilized did Assistant Luke dare to bring in a fresh cup of coffee, taking the opportunity to clean up the office. Lily walked in carrying lunch. As soon as she entered, she saw Chloe pulling Serena, chattering away about what to eat for dinner. Lily coughed lightly. "Sister Serena." Serena turned around, raising an eyebrow at Assistant Lily. Lily thought for a second, then said, "Something happened over at Boss Ethan's side." Before Serena could even react, Chloe jumped up. "What? Who dares to bully my brother-in-law?" Serena shot her a glare, put a hand over Chloe's mouth, and signaled for Lily to continue. Lily spoke up. "Here's the situation. Last night, Boss Ethan went to the family house, and things didn't go very happily. Today, Director Richard teamed up with a few shareholders to force Boss Ethan to split his shares. His father and he had a massive argument." Hearing this, Serena's expression darkened, her eyes showing clear seriousness and irritation. She frowned, thinking for a few seconds, then said coldly, "Book me the earliest flight." Lily hesitated for 2 seconds. "But you still have an important meeting tomorrow." Serena's voice left no room for doubt. "It doesn't matter. Book a return flight for tomorrow too." After saying that, she quickly left. At this time, I had no idea that Serena was already on her way back. I didn't want her to know about these annoying troubles either, but my dad kept badgering me relentlessly, keeping me busy all day to the point where my head was spinning. I hadn't even eaten dinner. Exhausted, I went to the parking lot and sat quietly for a while. Looking at the empty parking lot, my heart felt just as empty. If Grandpa wasn't still around, I would probably never set foot in the Ethan family house for the rest of my life. But my own biological father actually pushed me to this point. For Hugo's sake, he continuously forced me into a corner. Doesn't this simply prove his infidelity during the marriage? If it wasn't out of respect for Grandpa, I would have definitely called a bunch of reporters today to question him in front of everyone, just to see if my dad felt any shame. Right at this moment, Olivia's voice rang out from nearby. I tiredly shot her a glance. Seeing her walking over, I panicked, standing up intending to quickly walk to my car. Unexpectedly, because I had been sitting for too long, as soon as I stood up, my vision went black, my legs went soft, and I almost collapsed onto the ground. Ethan! Olivia worriedly ran towards me. I leaned against the wall, trying to steady myself, and shouted coldly, "Don't come over here!" Olivia stopped in her tracks about 3 or 4 steps away from me and said softly, "I don't mean any harm. Let me take you home." Seeing the way I gritted my teeth and endured it alone, her heart ached unbearably. I leaned against the wall, panting, ignoring her completely. After calming down for 2 seconds, I gritted my teeth and walked towards my car. But Olivia was unwilling to give up and stubbornly followed me. Her weak, soft voice came from behind. "Ethan, why did Serena leave you alone to handle this all by yourself? Let me take you to the hospital for a checkup, okay?" At the end, her voice carried a desperately frail plea. I stopped in my tracks. Olivia rejoiced internally, thinking I was moved. She called out softly, "Ethan." I turned my head. However, what she saw in my eyes wasn't the softness she hoped for, but a deep, bottomless darkness. I laughed coldly and asked, "Olivia, do you not understand human language? I don't want to see you." The smile on Olivia's face vanished instantly. She stumbled back 2 steps, looking at me in disbelief. The pain gradually surfaced in her eyes. She bit her lip hard, her eyes quickly turning red as her voice went hoarse. "Ethan, I truly know I was wrong. What do you want me to do to forgive me? Whatever you say, I'll do it." My eyes were filled with disgust as I coldly stopped Olivia's attempt to step closer. Tears welled up in her eyes, her voice trembling slightly. "We've known each other for so many years. Do you really want to be this heartless?" I sneered indifferently, copying Serena's attitude as I asked Olivia, "Do you know why I accepted your confession back then? If it wasn't Grandpa's wish, I wouldn't have chosen you. Just the mere fact that you once had a thing with Hugo was enough to cross you off my list." Olivia's face fell. She seemed to remember something, then looked at me with complex eyes. "Ethan, did you never like me?" I chuckled lightly. "In the past, I liked you. But when you got tangled endlessly with Hugo, I didn't like you anymore. I'm a very stubborn person. Once I decide to do something, even if I crash headfirst into a wall, I won't turn back. At that time, I sincerely let go of my grudges to be with you. But now, I truly don't want to see you anymore. If you don't want me to look at you with absolute disgust for the rest of your life, then stop appearing in front of me. This is the last bit of respect I can give you." In my past life, although my death wasn't directly caused by Olivia, she couldn't escape involvement. I couldn't convince myself to forgive her. Olivia's eyes were red, feeling as if her organs were being hollowed out. She suddenly hunched over, covering her face with her hands. Tears streamed through her fingers, dropping one by one onto the ground. I didn't give her a single glance, turning around and walking straight to my car, leaving the parking lot without looking back. Olivia stood frozen in place, clenching her fists so hard her nails dug deep into her flesh. Blood dripped down onto the pavement. Her bloodshot eyes stared fixedly at my fading silhouette, her lips suddenly twisting into a distorted, sickly smile. "Ethan, don't even dream of leaving me. You can only belong to me." By the time I drove home, it was completely dark. I was so exhausted I just wanted to sleep immediately. Just as I sat down on the sofa, a familiar voice suddenly rang out. "Hubby, why are you home so late?" I jolted, seeing Serena suddenly appear. She walked closer to me, her faint signature scent drifting around me. I looked up at her. The lights in the living room weren't on. Only the streetlights from outside shone in. I couldn't clearly see her expression, but I could feel the anger radiating from her. I asked softly, "Why are you back? Wasn't your business trip supposed to last a while longer?" Serena reached out and gently stroked my cheek, lowering her voice. "I was afraid you were getting bullied, so I specifically came back to check on you." Listening closely, I could hear the hidden concern in her voice. Serena didn't say anything else. She just quietly sat down next to me and reached out, pulling me into her embrace. All the frustrating emotions caused by my dad and Olivia slowly melted away in Serena's arms. I smiled, looking at her. "You rushed all the way back here. You probably haven't even had time to eat, right? What do you want to eat tonight?" But just that one smile from me was enough to make Serena drop all her defenses. We'd clearly only been apart for a few days, but she felt like she had been separated from me for years. This feeling of losing someone and finding them again, only to be terrified of losing them once more, it was truly agonizing. Serena gulped, her gaze turning deep as she suddenly asked, "Can I be the one to take the initiative?" I froze, my face burning up, secretly feeling lucky that she couldn't see how flustered I was right now. Not hearing my answer, Serena's face darkened, her lips pressing together, her eyes seemingly holding a bit of sorrow. I suddenly mumbled a complaint. Are you even human? All day you don't think about eating food. You only think about eating people. Even though my voice was very small, with the distance between us being this close, she still heard it. Serena was silent for a few seconds before suddenly bursting into loud laughter. Her laugh was incredibly pleasant to the ear. She happily reached out, rubbing my cheek, and said gently, "All right, I'll listen to you. I won't eat people. So, can we go out for dinner now? I sat on the plane for hours. I'm starving to death." Her voice for once carried a hint of whining and acting cute. I was amused by her, patted her hand lightly, then stood up to change my shoes. As we walked out the door, Serena held my hand tightly. The night air was a bit chilly, and she shrank her neck. The very next second, a coat was draped over her shoulders. Serena turned her head, her eyes full of dreaminess and confusion. "If you gave me your coat, won't you be cold?" Her eyes were so clear, yet they made my entire body flush hot. I smiled gently. "You're a girl, your constitution is a bit weaker." As I said that, my gaze dropped to her legs. "If I see you wearing a skirt again when it's cold, I'll break your legs." Serena stuck her tongue out, making a silly face at me. Then, without leaving a trace, she slipped her hand into the crook of my arm, silently transferring her warmth to me. After dinner, we returned home. I went to the bathroom and started filling the tub with water so Serena could take a relaxing soak and wash away her fatigue. Suddenly, I realized she hadn't brought her luggage. That meant she would be leaving later. So what was the purpose of her coming back tonight? Lost in my thoughts, I didn't notice Serena silently stepping up behind me. Seeing me spacing out, the corner of her lips twitched up. Seeing the water about to overflow the tub, she reminded me, "Hubby, are you planning to drown me?" I snapped back to reality. Seeing the water was full, I hurriedly stood up to turn off the faucet. Being too flustered, I fumbled and water splashed from the shower head onto Serena's shirt. She was wearing a white button-down shirt which was now soaked, faintly revealing the outline of her lingerie underneath. Serena stared at me, then her gaze followed mine down to her chest. She raised an eyebrow, a mischievous smile on her face. "Hubby, are you planning a romantic couple's bath for us?" My face turned beet red as I quickly covered my eyes. "Keep it PG." Serena chuckled lightly, her voice deadly seductive. She pulled my hands away and slowly moved closer, our breaths mingling. She could clearly see how tense I was. Serena didn't want to force me. She was willing to wait until the day I was truly ready. She flashed a mischievous smile, teasing me. "Still not going out? Are you actually planning to take a couple's bath with me?" My face burned bright red. It wasn't until long after I returned to my room that Serena's low chuckle finally stopped echoing in my head. We had only been apart for a few days. Why did I feel like Serena had become so incredibly captivating? I pinched my cheeks a few times and took a few deep breaths. It took me a long time to finally stabilize my emotions. Just then, the phone next to me suddenly rang. I picked it up to look. Carter had just sent a message in the group chat. "Ethan, is your dad causing trouble for you again?" My eyes darkened. I didn't want to drag them into my family's messy drama. Before I could reply, Carter sent another message. "Ethan, we're best bros. If anything happens, you have to tell us. I also just heard some news. Hugo is planning to hold a concert. Does this have anything to do with that?" I thought for a moment, then recounted my dad's intentions to them. Carter, being hot-tempered, immediately raged. "Isn't he afraid of Karma doing that? You're his son too, for crying out loud." I smiled faintly and replied, "It's fine, I can handle it. I'm going to sleep first." After sending that, I tiredly put my phone down and closed my eyes. I only intended to take a quick nap, but I fell fast asleep without realizing it. In a hazy, half-awake state, I was woken up by a knock on the door. Serena's worried voice rang out. It took me a few seconds to snap back to reality. I quickly replied, "I'm fine!" It was silent outside. She didn't say anything else. I quickly put on clothes, preparing to open the door. Unexpectedly, Serena was still standing right in front of the door. She looked a bit anxious, saying, "I kept knocking, but you didn't answer." I reassured her that I was fine, then asked, "You didn't bring your luggage. Are you leaving soon?" Serena nodded. "Yeah, I have a 6 a.m. flight tomorrow." Her voice was soft, almost like a whisper by my ear, making my heart tremble slightly. I looked at her, my eyes wavering. I understood the reason why she suddenly came back. To say I wasn't touched would be a lie. I could feel that she truly treated me very well. I lowered my head, whispering, "Serena, you really don't need to do this. You treat me so well. What if one day you can't accept me anymore and want a divorce?" But I couldn't finish my sentence. To be completely honest, I felt like I hadn't fully fallen in love with her yet. Maybe because I was so used to us being best friends, and we got married so hastily before even dating. I was afraid of eventually hurting the feelings she had for me, so every time I faced her intimacy, I always tried to hold back. But as soon as she heard my words, the faint smile on Serena's lips froze. She didn't say anything, just quietly stepped closer and pulled me tightly into a hug. "Ethan, we are husband and wife. Now that we're married, I have never once thought about divorce." The arms holding me tightened slightly, her fingertips trembling. The corner of her lips curled up as she whispered, "This scene, I've dreamed of it countless times." My face flushed. Feeling awkward and not knowing what to do, I hurriedly said, "How about you sleep for a bit? I'll wake you up later." Serena sat down on the edge of the bed looking up at me. Ethan, are you in such a hurry to chase me away? She curled her finger, gesturing for me to come closer. Smiling as she asked, did your dad make things difficult for you again? I knew she came back definitely because of this. Thinking for a moment, I replied, I'll handle it myself. Serena scoffed lightly, annoyed. How are you going to handle it yourself? They are a pack of old foxes teaming up against just you. You'll be swallowed up until not even a bone is left. I felt that Serena was underestimating me. I said proudly, I have my own ways of dealing with those old foxes. Serena laughed. So what's your plan? My face gradually turned serious. After pondering for a moment, I said, they want to use shares to pressure me. So, I'll just be patient and wait to see what their next move is, then counter them step by step. You don't need to worry about me. I looked at her very seriously and continued, you have your own work too. I don't want to bring trouble to you. Serena lowered her eyes slightly, replying softly, your business has never been trouble to me. She didn't like it when I kept my distance from her like this. She preferred watching me debate and argue with her, just like back in our school days. After talking with Serena for a while, I promised I would report the situation to her every single day. Only then did she finally agree to go to sleep. I set an alarm for her, then went out to the living room. The next morning when I woke up, Serena was already fully dressed and downstairs. The lights in the living room were still on. She frowned slightly, walking into the kitchen. I was wearing an apron, busy preparing food. In a thermos box, there was an exquisite breakfast and a cup of fatigue-relieving tea. Serena stood quietly leaning against the doorframe, a warm feeling gradually spreading through this new home. Life is full of unpredictable turns, but the wish she had when she was a teenager had now become reality. She once thought that maybe she would never have the chance to touch my world in this lifetime, given how different our family backgrounds were. But years later, when she had enough power, she didn't use it to force me. Instead, she chose to make a gamble. Thankfully, she won. Once I finished packing the food, I turned around and saw Serena standing at the door. Feeling a bit shy, I placed the thermos box into her hands, smiling. Remember to eat breakfast on the car and get some more sleep on the plane. Serena stared at me, the corners of her lips turning up as she asked softly, Ethan, are you starting to like me? My eyes twitched slightly, not knowing how to answer. Seeing me get tense, Serena didn't push it. She just smiled lightly and said, thanks for the hard work, hubby. I'm heading off. I quickly nodded, walking her to the door. Only when I saw her get into the car and leave did I close the door, intending to go back to sleep. But having been disrupted like this, I couldn't close my eyes anymore. I sat up, opened my diary, and took out a photo. In my high school graduation photo, Serena wasn't there. In the 11th grade, her family ran into trouble. She was forced to shoulder the burden of an entire family on the brink of collapse, facing greedy relatives all by herself. I only knew that after a few years of enduring it, Serena personally sent that bunch of people to prison. When she appeared on the news again, she no longer had the demeanor I used to be familiar with. But regardless of the past, I am with her now. In my past life, the moment she dashed through traffic towards me was forever etched in my mind. The next day, perhaps thanks to Serena's support, I returned to the company full of energy. Assistant Luke knocked on the door and brought me a cup of coffee. Thinking of the person he just met in the hallway, he hesitated before speaking up. CEO Ethan, earlier, Richard brought Mr. Hugo to the company. My fingers, which were typing on the keyboard, suddenly paused. My eyes remained gentle, and then, Assistant Luke considered my mood and lowered his voice. I heard Mr. Hugo came to give out invitation tickets. I raised an eyebrow, my hand still typing non-stop, casually replying, ignore him. Do I have any meetings this afternoon? Assistant Luke shook his head. No, but you need to visit the construction site this afternoon. I gave a light, took a sip of coffee and said, good work. Come with me this afternoon. Assistant Luke smiled, closing the file folder. You're too polite. CEO Ethan, I'll take my leave now. Later in the morning, someone knocked on my office door. I was busy, so without looking up, I just said one word. Enter. Hugo wheeled himself inside, his tone calm. CEO Ethan, do you have time to talk? I glanced outside and saw my dad standing there watching. Hugo's eyes were full of anxiety. I checked the watch on my wrist, my voice dropping. 5 minutes. Hugo nodded, pushing his wheelchair forward, speaking softly. Ethan, I won't take the shares. You don't need to feel pressured. I stared at him, the corner of my lips curling up as I leaned back in my chair. What is this supposed to mean? Running all the way here on purpose just to tell me you don't want the shares? Hugo, you played this trick beautifully. If you truly don't want them, why didn't you just tell the person standing right outside the door? I took a sip of coffee, my gaze indifferent, completely disregarding Hugo. Besides, I never intended to give them to you anyway. Hugo's face stiffened. Ethan, you don't need to act so hostile towards me. He paused, then continued, I don't intend to inherit the company. I'm planning to retire from the entertainment industry after finishing this concert and focus on preparing for marriage. He didn't say who he was marrying, but we both knew clearly. Hugo watched me intently, wanting to catch some emotional reaction on my face, but I didn't give him what he wanted, calmly continuing my work. Halfway through, I even took a phone call. Finally, I looked up and said indifferently, you don't need to tell me your business. I'm not interested. I have work to do, you can leave now. My attitude couldn't be called good, but it couldn't be called terrible either. In front of Hugo, I tried my best to control my emotions. Hugo's lips moved slightly. Just as he was about to open the door and leave, he suddenly turned his head and asked, "Ethan, do you really not like Olivia?" During this period, Hugo had constantly been following Olivia around. He witnessed her transform from a proud, shining heiress into a woman who got blackout drunk every single night. He even saw with his own eyes Olivia standing below my apartment building crying. Saying he wasn't jealous would be a lie. He had liked Olivia for many years. All those ambiguous events in the past were deliberately orchestrated by him, just to force me to leave. But when Olivia found out, she didn't hesitate for a second before going to look for me. Hugo never truly possessed Olivia, but he didn't regret it. Ethan, are you really determined to never look back? As long as Hugo was ruthless enough, he believed he definitely had a way to win Olivia over. My eyes were full of mockery, my tone indifferent. Stop testing me, Olivia and I are over. Having his thoughts exposed, Hugo's face turned pale white. He tried to force out an awkward smile, then turned and left. Outside the door, my dad saw Hugo come out, and his face immediately turned ugly. He frowned tightly, stepped forward to push Hugo's wheelchair and asked softly, "Hugo, did Ethan bully you?" Hugo shook his head, choking back tears as he replied, "No, Dad, I don't want the share division anymore. Don't go looking for Ethan anymore." My dad felt a surge of anger. He started resenting me in his heart. He had clearly told me not to bully Hugo, yet I refused to listen. "Hugo, what did Ethan say to you?" Hearing this, Hugo's tears immediately fell. His eyes were red, his voice choked with sobs. "Dad, I want to see Olivia." My dad's face darkened and he said seriously, "Hugo, in your current state, it's not suitable to see her." In other words, Olivia didn't want to see him. Hugo knew that too. These past few days, he had only dared to silently follow behind her. Seeing him in pain, my dad felt guilty, and his heart softened. "All right, Dad will take you to see her." Elsewhere, Serena finished her meeting and returned to the hotel. As soon as she walked in, Chloe kicked the floor, sliding her whole body and chair right next to Serena. She looked at an exhausted Serena and teased, "So, how was it? Was last night an intense battle?" The moment the words left her mouth, she received a death glare from Serena. Unafraid of death, Chloe leaned in closer, lowering her voice. "Serena, we've been besties for over 10 years. This is the first time I've ever seen you so anxious over a man. Have you really fallen for Ethan?" Serena felt like Chloe was spouting nonsense and retorted, "Do I look like a player to you?" Chloe said nothing. In their friend group, only Serena was pitifully pure. Even Olivia had been in a few relationships, but Serena was in her 20s and still single. "No, I was just curious. You rushed back so frantically last night. Was Ethan touched?" Hearing this, Serena felt a bit annoyed. "Touched my foot, not even a single kiss." Thinking of this, Serena looked towards Lily and asked, "Did my kind-hearted father-in-law go make trouble for him today?" Lily tried to choose pleasant words, but when Mr. Hugo came out of CEO Ethan's office, his face looked terrible. Looks like he got put in his place. It was quite unexpected. Chloe's eyes widened in disbelief. "No way! Ethan looked so gentle." Serena shot Chloe a look of absolute disdain, feeling like she truly hadn't seen the world. "Who said Ethan has a good temper? It's just that he can't be bothered to get angry at people. Back in school, I had verbal smackdowns with Ethan countless times. No matter how sharp Ethan's tongue was, he was no match for her." Lily didn't add anything else, just carefully choosing her words. The atmosphere suddenly grew tense. Earlier after the meeting, Serena saw she had received a message but didn't reply, so her expression wasn't very pleasant. Right then, her phone dinged with a notification. Serena glanced down. It was a message from me. "Sorry, I was at the construction site earlier and didn't see your message. Are you done with your meeting? Do you want to rest a bit early tonight?" Looking at the message, the corner of Serena's mouth couldn't help but twitch up. Chloe, sitting nearby, got curious and immediately leaned her head over to take a peek, only to get smacked by Serena. Chloe held her head, grumbling, "Serena, how old are you? Why are you still acting all shy like kids newly in love?" Serena snorted. "What do you know?" Then she immediately typed back, "If I could hear my hubby's voice, I wouldn't feel tired anymore." Looking at Serena's message, the corners of my lips slightly curved up. I picked up my phone and called her. Serena happily grabbed her phone and walked outside. Chloe called after her, "Serena, where are you going?" Serena smiled brightly. "Not telling you." As soon as she stepped out of the room, she couldn't wait to pick up the call. My voice came from the other end. "Done with your meeting? Thanks for working so hard. Remember to drink lots of warm water." Serena smiled. "Ethan, are you caring about me?" I stubbornly replied, "That's right. I'm afraid something might happen to you in a foreign land and I won't make it in time to arrange your funeral." Serena let out a tesk and smiled. "Silly hubby, don't worry. Even if I'm not dead, my assets are yours." Hearing that, I chuckled softly. "Stop talking nonsense. You didn't sleep well last night, so make sure you rest early tonight." Serena happily agreed, like a child receiving a reward. Then I asked, "When are you coming back?" Serena's eyes flashed, doubting she heard right. She confirmed it a few times before speaking up. "Hubby, are you missing me?" But I replied, "Next week is old Mrs. Lincoln's birthday." I paused, carefully listening to Serena's reaction. Even though things between me and Olivia had reached this point, old Mrs. Lincoln had always been very good to me. Serena's heart twinged with pain, her face turning slightly pale. Do you want to go? I explained. Old Mrs. Lincoln practically watched me grow up. Over the years, she's treated me incredibly well. Serena took a deep breath. She couldn't interfere in the matters between me and Olivia, but just the thought of me seeing Olivia made her heart ache. Things have already reached this point, yet it's still not enough? I noticed her displeasure and softly called out, Serena. She tried to make her voice sound gentler. If you want to go, then go. But at this moment, I laughed out loud. I want to go with you. After hanging up, I lay on my bed. A message from Serena popped up on my phone. It was a selfie. She was lying on her bed, wearing a simple pair of pajamas, using the blanket to cover herself up, with a gentle smile on her face. Listen here, hubby almighty, I am already in bed resting. I replied, good night, then tossed my phone aside, opened my laptop, and continued working. The project on the east side of the city had to wait until Serena returned to the company to officially kick off. When that happened, the two of us would definitely have a lot of interactions. But the most pressing issue right now was figuring out how to handle Olivia's grandmother's birthday next week. Honestly, I could just not go. But old Mrs. Lincoln was getting old. Every year she aged, there weren't many birthdays left to celebrate. Moreover, she treated me so well. I couldn't just break her heart over the messy relationship between me and Olivia. After finishing my emails, I looked at my phone. It was already 11 p.m. Serena had just sent one message, good night, and then nothing else. Actually, she was playing a little mind game, purposely sending a selfie hoping I'd have some sort of reaction. Who knew I'd be as dense as a block of wood, just telling her to rest early? Serena was so frustrated she wanted to laugh, but quickly comforted herself. Don't get mad, I picked this husband myself. Then, while waiting for my message, she fell asleep. The next morning, I had no idea what Hugo said to my dad yesterday, but early during the meeting, he kept picking faults, nitpicking every single little detail. No matter how good my temper was, I couldn't stop frowning. Finally, with a cold face, I suspended the meeting. At the same time, massive trouble hit the company. A senior director had cooked the books, embezzled 50 million yuan, and fled. I immediately called the police and simultaneously ordered the finance department to audit all the accounts and send them to me for review. But while I was so busy my head was spinning, things over at Olivia's house weren't peaceful either. For old Mrs. Lincoln's birthday, Olivia wanted to use this opportunity to see me, so she asked her younger sister Mia to send a message inviting me, insisting I had to attend the banquet. Mia was the granddaughter of old Mrs. Lincoln's best friend. Tragically, her whole family had perished in an accident, leaving only her. Back then, when she was brought to the Winston household, she was only 5, so the entire family treated her like their own biological granddaughter. Mia loved clinging to me since she was little. When she found out her sister and I were together, she was happier than anyone else. But who could have predicted that in the end, her sister would be the one to run away from the wedding? So when Olivia made such an unreasonable request, Mia flatly refused. After all, she was raised single-handedly by old Mrs. Lincoln. Her features were proper, and her moral compass was even more proper. She looked at Olivia, feeling both pity and anger, her tone sarcastic. Sister, Ethan is married now. What's the point of clinging to him before? You were the one who abandoned him to run after Hugo. When you did that, did you ever consider his feelings? Did you ever consider how much gossip he would have to face? And now you're pretending to be deeply in love? It's honestly nauseating. Olivia never expected a day would come when her own sister would call her nauseating. Her heart felt incredibly suffocated, pain flashing in her eyes. Sister, Mia, just help me this one last time, please? I heard Ethan's family is going through a tough time recently. I'm really worried. I used my alternate account to text him, but he knew it was me and deleted it immediately. I called him, but he never answers. I truly just want to help him. Saying that, Olivia looked at Mia with pleading eyes. She hadn't expected me to be so ruthless, feeling an unspeakable pain in her heart. This morning, Mia looked at her older sister with a mix of pity and fury. She frowned and said, Sister, we were both raised by Grandma. How did our personalities turn out so completely different? To tell you the truth, this wishy-washy, indecisive behavior of yours, even I find it annoying to look at. Let alone compared to Serena. You are completely out of her league. But Ethan is married now, do you understand? Legally speaking, he is Serena's husband, not yours. Olivia's lips trembled, her eyes filled with remorse and regret. Mia couldn't take it anymore. She patted her sister's shoulder gently. The past is in the past. I see Ethan is very happy now. Stop bothering him. Olivia's eyes turned red and she screamed in despair. Serena hasn't brought him any happiness at all. I can't accept this. Just this once. Why couldn't he just wait for me? Mia looked at her sister helplessly. If it weren't for their sibling bond, she wouldn't even bother talking to her. What kind of attitude was this? A traitor suddenly waking up and turning back to chase their ex? Why didn't she cherish it back then? Did she not understand that being late only leaves you with regret? But at the end of the day, Mia still loved her sister. She sighed. I'll try contacting brother Ethan and see. Hearing this, a spark of joy appeared in Olivia's eyes. Mia, thank you. Mia shot her a look. Don't thank me. And don't make me do things like this ever again. Brother Ethan and I have a great relationship. Unlike someone who played dirty tricks behind his back to hurt him. Muttering under her breath, she texted me. Brother Ethan, are you coming to my grandma's birthday? But after waiting forever, I didn't reply. Mia helplessly shrugged. If it were me, I wouldn't come either. He definitely doesn't want to see you right now. Olivia stared fixedly at the phone screen with bloodshot eyes. Suddenly, she thought of something, immediately left and ran straight to my company. At this time, I was checking the ledgers when the receptionist called. CEO Ethan, Miss Olivia is down in the lobby. She wants to see you. I was dead tired and truly didn't want to see her at this moment. I replied coldly, not seeing her. The receptionist looked at Olivia, then added, CEO Ethan, she said she can help you solve your current problem. I let out a cold laugh, then told the receptionist to hand the phone to Olivia. Ethan. As soon as Olivia opened her mouth, her voice was gentle and soft, just like the old days. But hearing it only made me feel sick to my stomach. I suppressed the throbbing pain between my eyebrows, my tone unfriendly. What do you want? No, Olivia said softly. I can help you with Hugo's shares. As for the company's ledger issue, I also have connections who can handle it. I don't want to see you struggle like this. Can you just meet me once? Please? Consider it my way of thanking you for everything you've done for me over the past 2 years, okay? Her tone was overflowing with deep affection, but I only found it laughable. I twirled a pen in my hand, asking, how do you plan on helping me? Olivia said seriously, Hugo wants shares. I'll transfer all my shares in the Winston Corporation to him. That way, you won't be put in a difficult spot anymore. As for the ledgers, I've already asked someone to look into it for you. I believe there will be results very soon. I rubbed my tired forehead, my voice as cold as ice. Olivia, do you think I could possibly trust you right now? Hearing this, Olivia froze, taking a long while to react. I purely just want to help you, I sneered. No need, I'll handle my own business. The only reason I took this call was to tell you that I already have a wife. After saying that, I bluntly hung up, giving her no chance to say another word. Putting the phone down, I was in no mood to work. I stood up and paced around the room a few times. Right then, Assistant Luke knocked and entered, placing a piece of cake on my desk. I was surprised. What's this? Assistant Luke smiled. This is the cake CEO Serena ordered for you. She said if you're in a bad mood, you should eat something sweet. After Assistant Luke left, I took the cake box, placed it on the desk, snapped a picture, and sent it to Serena. She replied very quickly. Feeling better yet? I asked, puzzled. How did you know? Don't tell me you installed a hidden camera in my office? Serena smirked. Do you believe in telepathy between husband and wife? I sent back an emoji, then put my phone down and focused on eating the cake. Sure enough, my mood improved significantly. The sweet taste of the cake gradually washed away the day's exhaustion, but I knew all too well that this piece was merely the brief calm before the real storm hit.